All right, let's get started. So we're doing a restorative class today. So if you are newer to restorative yoga, this is a type of yoga where we focus more on the breath, use a lot of props to open up the body. We hold poses for quite a long time. It should be very relaxing. That being said, it can feel really challenging sometimes. So before we get going, I'm going to just kind of go through some of the stuff that I have here. And I actually have some classic yoga props, and then I have some makeshift props just to give you ideas at home. So a couple of blocks could be good. If you don't have blocks, you're going to grab some books or something else. With restorative, you don't necessarily need the firmness. So you can see here, I've just taken a couple of towels, and they're kind of blockish, so that would work as well. I have a long skinny. This is a classic yoga prop here. So if you don't have something like this, an extra mat rolled up might be really nice. You could roll up a towel, a blanket, that would work. I have a strap. If you don't have a strap, you could use a hair scarf. You could use a scarf, belt, sweatshirt, anything like that would work. I've taken a couple of pillows, cushions off the couch. I'm going to use these sort of for just blocks as well. So there are these classic yoga bolsters. They're kind of the shape of a blanket such as this. Not necessary to buy those if you're just watching this at home. So I have actually just taken the cushion off of the couch here. So when you do this, it's very important that you don't look at the crumbs that are underneath this cushion, because you'll get distracted and you'll think you need to clean everything out. You'll also discover why you have gained the COVID-19 this past year. So just walk away from that, get the cushion. You can clean it later, maybe, if you want to. You're not going to feel like it after this class. And then this is literally the bedspread off my bed. And again, I've just folded it such that it has a little thickness, but it's nice and supportive. It's not super squishy, so I could use this as a prop as well. All right, so we are going to get started without further ado. As we come into this, play around, make sure that you're comfortable. You want to be like the princess and the pea in restorative yoga. You want to feel really, really good. There might be a little bit of stretch, but we're not going for a yin sort of feeling where you're feeling a lot of sensation. You should feel pretty relaxed here. So I want to start out in a supported shavasana. So if you have a yoga bolster at home, you're going to take that. It's going to go the long way at the back of your mat. You might need a little blanket for your head, a little support, so you could kind of put that towards the back of the bolster. I'm going to take this blanket on top here just to give myself a little more height. And then I'm going to have some blocks or pillows or these little makeshift blocks handy, kind of up towards the top of the setup. So this is going to be for if you feel like you need a little support underneath your arms. The other thing too, if you have an eye cover, a little eye sandbag, you can use that. Otherwise, a washcloth looks really good. It can be really nice to cover up your eyes. It helps you to just tune out the rest of the world. So if you want to go grab something like that, you're welcome to do that. So then I want you to also either roll up a blanket, roll up a mat. I want you to have something as a little support underneath your knees. So again, that might just be the cushions off the couch. So we've got all of this stuff. So get the proppage underneath your knees. And with this setup here, you want to bring it flush to the tailbone. So you're nice and tight. All right. And then we're going to start to lay back. And this is the point where you might be like, oh, I feel this big stretch in my heart and chest. I think I need a little prop for my head. So the back of your neck should feel nice and long. Chin is just gently tucking down, losing the hair scarf here. So we'll just get rid of that. And then as mentioned, depending upon how you're built, how long you are, maybe it's going to feel nice to give your arms a little bit of support. So as you hang over, as you drape your upper body over your support, if there's too much intense stretch across your heart and chest, and there should be a little bit, but if it feels like too much, just go ahead and give yourself a little support underneath your arms. And then notice too, sometimes it feels good to just press down into the legs And then just drag the buttocks flesh forward to your heels. That's going to help you to get a little directionality of your tailbone forward. And that will take a little pressure out of the lower back if you're feeling any sensation there. Good. And then once you feel nice and comfortable, I'm going to grab my eye pillow here. So once you feel like, yeah, I can hang out here for a good 10 minutes or so, I want you to take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. Do that one more time. Smooth, deep inhale, fill up. Pause, and sip in a little more air. And then let the breath go through your mouth, ha. So inhaling through your nose to the count of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can stick with that rhythm just on your own. If you want to stretch it out, add a beat or two, you're welcome to. If you need to tighten it up a little bit, you're also welcome to. Do a little scan of your body here. So start at your feet, work your way up. Are you gripping anywhere that you don't need to? Are you clenching the toes? Is there a grip in the inner thighs? Can you release there? The shoulders scrunching around your ears. Is there tension in your fingers, your wrists? So really relaxing, completely surrendering here, just allowing your body to melt over the props that you're using. So instead of muscling your way into a shape, you're relaxing your way into a shape. Make sure there's no tension in your face, jaw. Maybe release the brain if it's feeling a little uptight today. Feel this stretch across your heart and chest. And then we're just going to be here. So I'm not going to say anything for a little bit. We're going to just be here. We're going to breathe. Again, you're inhaling and exhaling through the nose. You can do Ujjayi if you practice that. It's not necessary. Perhaps you're trying to quiet the mind. You're focusing on your breath. Perhaps you fall asleep. I'm going to say if that happens, it's what you need. That's okay. Maybe it's hard for you to quiet the mind. So maybe you just let yourself daydream. Maybe that's what you need. Perhaps you feel bored. Can you explore that? So all good things. As your breath starts to drop into this really steady rhythm, I want you to notice the physicality of the breath. So the sensation of the rib cage expanding in the front of the body, the sides of the body, the back of the body on that inhale. And then just noticing how everything contracts inward on your exhale. Maybe observe if it's really, really challenging for you to just be here and to relax. And if that's you, that's how most of us feel. We're really accustomed to working hard, checking things off the to-do list. We're overscheduled. We've got too much going on. The world is starting to shift in that direction again as life slightly returns to normal. So if you're feeling any of that anxiety, like, really, is this yoga here doing anything? See if you can just let it go. See if you can give yourself permission to relax and to know that that's a really healthy thing to do, even though it might not be an easy thing to do. Maybe it would be helpful for you to count your breath just inside your head. So inhaling to that count of 6 or 7 or 8, and then exhaling to that same number. See if that just helps you to tune the outer world out and even the inner world. So those thoughts that are saying, you could be doing better things with your time right now. And conversely, maybe you're one of those people that it's really easy for you to drop into this place of quiet and stillness and relaxation. So if you're there, enjoy it, soak it up. Maybe just notice how your body is really gently starting to open, especially the heart, the chest area. Little stretch in the shoulders. And there's this weighted feeling in your body as you completely surrender and release. It's like you're just melting down into the floor underneath you. The other thing that I didn't mention at the beginning of this pose, you probably don't have a sandbag lying around your house, but if you did want to, you could, if you do, perchance, putting that on your belly or on your chest can feel really good, really grounding. But you could also just put a stack of blankets or books. So for some of us, that feels really, really nice just to have that extra weight. For some of us, it doesn't feel good. It feels like it constricts the breathing. But if you wanted to play with that for the next moment or two here in this supported shavasana, you're welcome to do so. Small children, small pets also work good. Good. Let's take one more deep inhale here together. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. And then just wiggle toes, fingers a little bit. And let's inhale, stretch the arms up overhead. So get nice and long. You just have your palms facing towards each other and just feel those shoulder blades squeeze in, release down towards your tailbone. Deep inhale. And then just exhale, release your arms by your side. So if you've got blankets or a sandbag on your belly or a heart, you can just move those off to the side. You can move your wash rag or your eye pillow off to the side. We're going to make our way out of this. So you can move any stuff out of the way that you need to. You're probably going to bend your knees here. And then you're just going to roll off your setup. So be nice and easy here. Take your time. There's no hurry. And just find the fetal position for a moment. So kind of just shifting gears for a moment before we come into our next pose. So just hanging out there in that fetal position, taking a couple of breaths, just maybe checking in, seeing how you're feeling. You might be in the camp of, yeah, I'm ready to move into something else. You might be like, damn it, I wasn't enjoying that. I promise there's going to be other lovely things here. So just take your top arm, press down into the floor, gently rise on up. And we're going to make our way into our second setup. So we're going to come into a nice, easy, relaxing spinal twist using this proppage. So again, if you have a yoga bolster, you're going to do that. Otherwise, you can use your makeshift bolster, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take this blanket that I have, the quilt from my bed, and I'm going to actually give it a little more height. All right. And again, you're going to have it on the long way. Let's start on our right side first. So you're going to come into what I call these mermaid legs. So you're bending your knees, your feet are facing back, and then you take whatever you're working with, you take it the long way. So it comes up against this right hip crease. Then you're going to take one hand on either side of your setup here. And then you're going to think these left ribs just releasing down. So you're finding a little gentle twist. And for some of us, this can be really, really intense. We're going to be here for a good 5 minutes. So start to lay down here and just start on your right ear, your right cheek. And then just find a place that feels good with your arms. Play around to see what you need. Close your eyes again if they're not already. And then start to drop into your breath again. So smooth inhales through your nose. Smooth exhales through your nose. Maybe counting the breath, maybe really stretching the breath out today. Maybe you just allow your breath to find its own natural rhythm. So that works really nicely as well. And get curious about the sensations that you're feeling here. So especially initially coming into these poses, kind of takes us a moment to settle in. So again, do be picky, be OCD here. Make little adjustments, grab more props, lose some props if you need to. And then again, this can be a really nice pose if you want a little weight on top of you. I'm just going to use a sandbag here. It's a little trickier when you are doing this on your own, but you can just take that sandbag on top of the hip can feel really good. If you want to set up so that you kind of use this to help that left side of your waist release down and kind of find that setup. So that can be a nice little adjustment. And again, we always want to do a little body scan, especially as we get into a new pose. We want to make sure that we're not gripping. So it's really interesting. We clench, we hold on in places we're not even aware that we're doing it. So we bring our attention there and then we soften in those spots. So again, just do a little scan. Make sure that you're entirely relaxed here, feeling really easy. Eyes closed is really nice. They can be open if that feels more comfortable for you. If that's where you're at, do just keep your gaze really soft. So you're not really focusing on anything. You're not looking around. It can be really distracting and cause the thoughts to kick up. So we've got about another minute and a half here. If you would like to stretch out the neck a little bit, so this is less restorative, it's more kind of like a yin thing, and it can be quite intense. But if you want to go there and see how you're feeling, you're welcome to do so. So you might just start to turn onto your left cheek. And you might get there and be like, this is too much today, in which case you come back to your right cheek. But if you're liking a little bit of that stretch, it feels like you can still breathe here. Just go ahead, turn your cheek. Take several breaths there. And maybe you can only be here for a few breaths before you need to flip back onto your right cheek. So always listening to your body. The neck gets really, really tight. Some days this works, some days it doesn't. Good. Let's go ahead and flip back if you took that variation, just to even out the neck here for a couple of breaths. Good. And then moving so slow, you're just going to start to press into your hands, come upright, and we're going to come to the second side. So I'm going to just flip my props around, but you're just welcome to turn your hips around so that left hip is against this setup. You can just keep it in the same place. That will work. All right. So again, you want whatever proppage you're working with to be snuggled up against this left hip crease. Knees are bent so the feet are behind you. And then we're going to take one hand on either side of this little bolster that we've created. And then I want you to think right ribs releasing down. If you want to have a little something for weight on top of you, you can have that close by. And then start to lay your belly down. On this proppage, you're just going to lay on your left ear. Good. And then you're going to play around with your arms. You're going to find that place where you feel nice and comfortable. And again, so if you want some blankets, whatever it is that you're working with on top of this hip, that can feel nice. Or maybe you want to set it up so that you're just getting a little release of these right ribs down towards the floor. So kind of just getting a little assist in this twist here. Again, eyes probably closed, otherwise gaze soft and gentle. Find your breath. And then maybe you're noticing, does this side feel a little different? Is it about the same? Just drawing inward, making sure that you're not holding or gripping anywhere that you don't need to. Do less. If your attention wanders, choose to let it wander today. Again, maybe you're kind of in daydream mode. I'm going to say that's okay. If you're trying to find that place of stillness, so allow yourself to come back to that sound of your breath. And maybe you're counting your breath, just giving your brain a little something to chew on. Maybe that feels calming to you. Maybe you're sleeping. I'm jealous if that's you, if you can fall asleep this easily. But again, that means that you're super relaxed. That might mean that that's what you need. The body is tired. Good. And then so if you're completely relaxed here, stay here. If you want to play with getting a little of that yin stretch in your neck, maybe you start to flip to that right cheek. And do know going into this, see, I'm actually going to come back to my left cheek. So sometimes you can do one side and not the other. So that just means, you know, little extra tension. Maybe you slept wrong. So if you go there and it doesn't feel good, come back to your left cheek. Otherwise, stay there for a good, 6, 7, 8 breaths. If you did flip onto your right cheek very gently, just return to that left cheek. So kind of finding that neutrality of the cervical spine. Good. So nice and easy. Again, you're going to press into your hands, move slow. Oh, you just start to roll on up here. And then let's just extend legs, give them a little shake. And we're going to come into a supported child's pose. So a nice little forward fold. So I'm going to just stick with this same setup. So you're going to use a cushion from your couch. You're going to use the bolster if you have one. And then also, we're going to hold this for about 5 minutes. So if you know that you're a little tender on your knees and you're on a hard surface, maybe you're going to want to take a blanket and just spread it out. So just give yourself a little padding underneath your knees. That will be really nice. So I'm going to turn wide this way. So you can start. So my knees are pretty wide, big toes are together. And then you're going to take your bolster between your thighs, any amount. Some of this just has to do with how long your torso is. And then you're going to start to melt forward. So a couple of options here. You can start with your cheeks turned to one side. Maybe it feels better to be resting on your forehead. That works. And then in regards to your arms, they can be stretching forward. Maybe you want to take them by the side. So just play around. See where you need to be here. And then again, if you do have, some blanket, something with a little weight that you can put on your lower back, your sacrum, that can feel really nice, really grounding. So feel free to play with that. If you're here and this is absolutely excruciating on your knees and completely fine if that's you, I invite you to come on up, come onto your back, and then just nice and simply just squeeze your knees in. So you'll be getting the same shape basically, but without all of that pressure on the knees. So that's a really good variation if you're restorative child's pose, just isn't in the cards today. Check in with your breath. Make sure that it's nice and even. And maybe even just visualize breathing into the back band of the body here. Send your breath there. Really empty out on your exhale. Good. And if your cheek is turned to one side, just go ahead and turn it to the other side. So this configuration should feel a little easier in that twist that we just did. It's not quite as much pressure and extension on the neck. But again, that being said, if you ever come into one of these variations in the pose and it doesn't feel good, it feels too intense, just go back to where you were, modify somehow. We got a few more breaths. Good. As you inhale, nice and easy, start to press into your hands to come on up. Good. And then again, just flip around, give the legs a little shake out. We're going to do a couple hip stretches here. Subtle, easy hip stretches with a little forward folding, which is very calming and relaxing. So there's a number of things that you might be using, and I'll just kind of demo a few of those. But let me grab my chair here. And if you don't have a chair, you may or may not need one. If you're a little more on the flexible side, you won't. You can be using like a coffee table in front of you, couch, whatever. So we are going to come into our Upavista legs. So nice, wide legs, wide enough for your body, I should say. So they don't have to be out very far. So for a lot of us here, I can actually feel a nice little stretch in my hamstring. So a good little modification for that would be to take a little something underneath your knees. It's just going to take some of the work out. It's going to help you to relax a little bit. Also, sitting up on something, if you're really tight. So if you're finding that you're sitting here and that you're just rounding in a lot, a little support underneath the buns is going to make things a little easier. All right, so you can play with those things. So we're going to start to forward fold any amount. So this can be where it's really nice. I'm going to use this little, if you have a bolster, you can kind of angle it so that you can just rest your head on something. This is where the chair might come in handy. Of course, if this is a little easier in your body, maybe you can rest the forehead on a block. So there is some stretch here, but I don't want it to be as intense as a yin stretch. So I want you to go less far than you think you can. So I want it to feel a little more restorative, but I do want you, if possible, to have your forehead resting on something. That just has a really nice calming effect. And then the other option for you, if this is just like excruciating today, the forward fold piece isn't working, you could take this shape up against a wall here. So I'm gonna move this out of the way so you can see. So basically the hardest part is getting in. So you're gonna kind of snuggle your hips up towards the ceiling, or towards the wall rather. And then you kind of shimmy yourself in, and then you can take the legs as wide as feels good. So you're getting the shape. It's a little more restorative. If you have space in the area that you're doing your yoga, you're welcome to do this as well. All right, so we've got, another like 7 or 8 more breaths wherever you're at. These poses don't need to be pretty. So when we're doing our vinyasa flow practice, we're always going for lots of length in the spine. We're keeping the legs really active. Not so concerned with that today. And more important that you let the body release and relax. You let the breath get really steady. Good. On your next inhale, you're going to start to roll on up. So if you're at the wall, if your legs are at the wall, just start to draw the legs in. You can use your hands to do that. So we're going to do another little hip groin stretch here. So we're going to come into not Upavista, that's where we're at. We're going to come into our Baddha Konasana. So if you're seated, just take your hands underneath your knees. And then we're going to bring the soles of the feet together. And I suggest having a pretty wide diamond so you can slide those feet forward. And sitting up on something can be really nice. And then we're going to just find a gentle little forward fold here. So angle your props. Other thing is, if you are tight in the groin, blocks or props underneath. I'm going to grab these pillows here. Underneath the knees and thighs just gives you a little support. So it's a little easier. It feels a little mellower. And then forward folding any amount. So again, you could just be resting on something. If you are a little more open in your hips, you could rest forehead on a block. You could be using a desk in front of you, a chair. And then again, you could do this pose at the wall. So if you're at the wall, just bring the soles of your feet together. And you can be there. And then just finding that rhythm of your breath. Maybe notice if the shoulders are creeping up around your ears, just soften them down. Really try to expand on the inhale. Feel everything contract inward as you exhale. Enjoy that sound, that rhythm of your breath. So one of the things that happens when we're doing our restorative practice is that we're triggering the body to go into the parasympathetic nervous system. So we spend the bulk of our time in the sympathetic nervous system. This is the fight, flight, freeze mode. So it's the get things done mode. It's like we're a little anxious, we're a little on alert. So we need to be like that sometimes, but we also need to do the opposite. So this is what we're doing as we drop into the parasympathetic nervous system. We are just signaling to the brain that it's time to rest, restore, to heal, to check in, to get quiet. So you can think of this as being a deposit into your wellness bank. And the thing that's kind of cool is you practice this more. You don't even have to do a full hour of yoga, restorative yoga. You could just pause and breathe for a few minutes, but you start to train your body to find this place. And that can be a really nice life tool, especially when things are getting a little stressful. All right, so nice and easy. If you are at the wall, again, just use your hands to help draw your knees in. If you are seated in forward folding, nice and gentle, you're going to start to roll on up. And then you're going to take your hands to the outsides of those knees. Give everything a little shake out. And we're going to come into another restorative back bend. So we're going to be doing bridge pose on our back with some support underneath the sacrum. So it is nice to have support that is a little more stable. So that might be a block. It might be some books. It might be some blankets that are firm. And I'm going to show you a couple ways to get into this because depending upon what you're using, you might need something different. So if you have a block or a book, you're just going to lay down on your back. Feet are hips distance apart. Outer edges of the feet parallel with the edges of the mat. And then you're just going to press into your feet. You're going to lift those hips up, and then you're going to slide your block or your prop underneath your sacrum. So what tends to happen is we get the block too high, so the buns start to slide off. It's lots of pressure in the lumbar. So not to be too descriptive, but like you want your prop where the tailbone meets like the butt crack, that plumber crack area. That's where you want it to be. So it should feel very stable, very supportive. You can change the height of the block. Since we're doing restorative, I suggest doing a little less. The other thing that might be really nice, if you do have a firm bolster, you could use that. So sometimes, depending upon how you're built, though, it can be a little harder to slide that underneath you. So if that's the direction that you're wanting to go, I sometimes like to sit up on the bolster and then work my way down. And then again, you just kind of have to adjust here so you're getting that prop underneath your sacrum. So you feel really easy here. You have all of this beautiful length through the sides of your waist. Then again, maybe you have some extra stuff laying around, small child, small pet, a sandbag that you can put on your belly. If you go there and it feels like that constricts your breathing a lot and it's not comfortable, you just take it off. But if you want to try it, you're welcome to. Feel the back of your neck really nice and long. Chin is gently tucking towards your chest. So this is one of those poses where we don't want to look side to side. A little pressure on the neck. So just pressing into the center of the back of the neck. And then you can just play around with your arms here too. So I like standard shavasana. That feels really good. I feel this openness across my heart and chest. If you want a little more stretch across the chest, maybe you come into your goalpost cactus arms. And then just observe what's happening in your feet. So sometimes the toes like to turn out here. So you almost have a slightly pigeon-toed feeling. You don't want to overdo that. You want to feel as though you're pressing evenly into your feet. There's a gentle lift of your arches. This can be a really great pose to do, when you're feeling a little slump midday, you need a little pick-me-up. Maybe you don't want to reach for the caffeine. So we're in a back bend here. Back bends are energizing. Just give you a little lift, a little pick-me-up. So this can be a really great pose to do. I think that this is a beautiful pose to really connect with the breath and just physically how it feels. There's so much space. You're nice and long. Everything is opened up. So you can really find that expansion as you inhale and then that contraction as you exhale. And let's do a little pranayama here. So a little breath work. If you do have something laying on your belly, you might want to take it off. So we're going to come into our Viloma 1 breath, which is a 3-part breath. I'm just going to explain it really quick so you don't need to do it this first time around, and then I'll talk you through. So essentially, we're going to take a nice deep inhale through the nose and then a full complete exhale through the nose. You're going to completely empty out of breath. So you're going to feel empty. You're going to feel your lower belly pull in and up. You're going to pause there for a moment. And then we're going to inhale in 3 parts. So you kind of have to gauge it a little bit. So we'll inhale 1/3 of the way up. We'll pause the breath. We'll inhale another 1/3 of the way up. We'll pause the breath. And then we'll inhale all the way up. Pause the breath. And then you're going to exhale the air out through your nose. We'll take a couple of recovery rounds. So as we're doing this, if my pace doesn't work for you, you just find your own pace. And then also just be aware that when we come into the hold, sometimes we start to grip and tense the muscles in the body. So I want you to stay as relaxed as possible. Also know that if you're newer to this breath, it can feel a little confronting, a little challenging. If that's you today, you just skip it. You keep breathing normally. Let's go ahead and take a nice deep inhale through the nose here. Full complete exhale through the nose. Feel everything contract in. Empty out all the way. Lower belly pulls it in up slightly. Pause. Inhale 1/3 of the way up, so just below your belly button. Pause. Inhale another 1/3 of the way up. Floating ribs expand. Pause the breath. Inhale all the way up underneath your collarbones. Pausing the breath, feeling that lift of your sternum up towards the ceiling. Slowly turn the air around. Exhale through your nose. Empty out. And then just take a couple rounds of normal breath when you reach the bottom. Nice deep inhale through your nose. Full complete exhale through your nose. Feel everything contract in. When you get to the bottom of your breath, completely empty out. Pause. Inhale 1/3 of the way up. Pause the breath. Nice and relaxed here. Inhale another 1/3 of the way up. Pausing the breath. Finally, inhale all the way up underneath your collarbones. Pausing the breath. Feel that openness across your heart and chest, that lift of sternum up towards the ceiling. Slowly exhale the air out through your nose. Empty out. Couple recovery breaths when you reach the bottom. So just nice inhale through your nose. Nice, easy exhale through your nose. Good, and then you're gonna check in here. You're gonna notice how you feel after that breath work. And we're gonna move the props out from underneath us. So you're gonna press into your feet, lift the hips up, slide your blocks, your blankets, your bolster out. And again, if it feels awkward for you to do that, you can also just roll off to one side. So we're gonna make our way into our final resting pose here. And I wanna come into just another version of a restorative shavasana, but I wanna have something long underneath our back. So yoga mats, an extra yoga mat can be really nice. If you have a blanket or a towel, you're gonna just make a little like taquito. So a long skinny roll, and it's gonna go the long way on your mat. And then again, a little something for underneath your knees is gonna feel really good. So we're gonna snuggle this up. You might find that you also need a little support for your head. So you can take a blanket or a pillow or a block back there. And then maybe you have your washcloth for over your eyes. Maybe you have your sandbag to put on your belly or on top of your thighs. So melt back here, and you want to feel your shoulder blades just draping over that skinny roll underneath you, whatever that looks like. Good. You're going to take a nice deep inhale through your nose here. And you're going to open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. And then completely surrender. So just imagine that your body is filling up with wet cement, and the cement's going to start to cure and dry. And just pretend that somebody is pouring that cement in at your toes. Just work with me on this visualization, and then it starts to lift all the way up. So you're heavy, you're relaxed. This is a cement in a good way visualization. You're letting your breath do its own thing. Maybe that means you stretch the breath out. Maybe that means the breath is a little shallower. Shavasana. Asato ma satgamaya. Tamaso ma joy tirgamaya. Mrityo ma mritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Take a deeper inhale. Open your mouth. Sigh the breath out. Let it go. Ha. Start to bring some gentle movement back to your body. Wiggle fingers, toes, circle ankles, wrists. Stretch arms up overhead. Staying soft and quiet, so no rush. Nice and easy. Roll to one side or the other, so just rolling off your setup. Just finding the fetal position there. And then you're going to use your hands to help you press up to a nice, comfortable seat. And I check in, and you're going to notice how you feel differently than when you started. So hopefully there is this deep sense of relaxation and ease. Brain's feeling a little quieter and calmer. Body's feeling nice and easy. Just promise yourself that you're going to carry some of this good feeling with you into the rest of your day, the rest of your week ahead. And bring your palms together, your heart, and just bow your head with a smile. Good, beautiful work today. Thank you. Thanks for watching my YouTube video. If you have comments, questions, or classes that you would like to see, just leave me a comment or shoot me an email at jana@janabozemanyoga.com. Bye.